Before I get to talking noise, let me go ahead and get these lips right. Yeah, put some lip balm on. Be on here with cracked lips, you don't be saying nothing. I see how y'all do me, man. You ain't gonna do me like that, all right. Good to go. All right, now that we got the chapped lips out the way, Sig Sauer says it ends today. And then on 3/13, they decided to pick it back up. Sig chose violence. All right, so I'm pretty sure you've heard about the drama surrounding the Sig P320 and its variants. Now, for a while, the industry had kind of stopped paying attention to it. You know, we still knew about it, but it was not important on our list of priorities. Nobody cared. Sig, out of nowhere, released a statement on their social media a few days back. And if you have not heard about or read that statement, I'm going to go ahead and read it to you now. The P320 cannot, under any circumstances, discharge without a trigger pull. That is a fact. The allegations against the P320 are nothing more than individuals seeking to profit or avoid personal responsibility. Recently, anti-gun groups, members of the mainstream media, trial attorneys, and other uninformed and agenda-driven parties have launched attacks on one of Sig Sauer's most trusted, most tested, and most popular products, the P320 pistol. In all cases, these individuals have had an ulterior motive behind their baseless allegations that the P320 can fire without a trigger pull. They have no evidence, no data, and no empirical testing to support any of their claims. They instead choose to misrepresent clear, negligent discharges as a design problem. In the decades since its introduction, the P320 has undergone the most rigorous testing and evaluation of any firearm by military and law enforcement agencies around the world. It consistently delivers a proven record of performance and reliability through state-of-the-art engineering and documented quality control at every stage of its production. Claims that the unintended discharges are anything more than negligent handling and or manufactured lies to support an anti-gun, anti-SIG agenda are false. Furthermore, lawsuits claiming that the P320 is capable of firing without the trigger being pulled have been dismissed in courtrooms around the country. In addition, multiple plaintiffs, so-called experts, have conceded it is not possible for the P320 to discharge unless the trigger is fully actuated. The rhetoric is high, and we can no longer stay silent while lawsuits run their course and clickbait farming, engagement hacking grifters continue their campaign to hijack the truth for profit. Enough is enough. From the courts of law to the court of public opinion, we will combat the lies and misinformation with the truth. Sig Sauer stands behind the quality, safety, and design of all of our products, especially the P320. Industry, take notice. What's happening today to Sig Sauer with the anti-gun mob and their lawfare tactics will happen tomorrow at another firearms manufacturer, and then another. Today, for Sig Sauer, it ends. And then it didn't end.
But wait, there's more.
That was 6 days ago. I hadn't gotten around to making this video, and Sig decided that it wasn't over. Okay, so today on 3/13, I'm on their Instagram, and I'm pretty sure they released this in other places. And not only did it end in social media, because I mean the world just caught fire with it, Sig decided to come back. Sig woke up and chose violence.
Damn you! Wanna fight, huh? Fight me! Yeah!
Let's see what Sig Sauer had to say today. The truth about the P320 continues. Case dismissed. Police officer admits his Sig Sauer P320 pistol cannot discharge without a trigger pull. Sig Sauer is pleased to announce the United States District Court for the District of Puerto Rico has officially entered an order dismissing the lawsuit Berrios versus Sig Sauer, alleging the P320 service weapon of police officer Elvis Ramon Green Berrios, the plaintiffs, discharged without the trigger being pulled. Mr. Berrios voluntarily dismissed his action against Sig Sauer, admitting in court-filed documents that his P320 pistol has no defects and does not discharge without a trigger pull. Throughout the nearly 3 years of litigation in this lawsuit, Sig Sauer has vigorously defended the safety, quality, and manufacturing of the P320. This admission that the P320 is not defective was gained after Sig Sauer presented detailed scientific evidence showing that the P320 cannot fire without a trigger pull and contains no manufacturing defects. This decision marks the 18th frivolous or unsupported P320 unintentional discharge lawsuit dismissed against Sig Sauer. We are extremely pleased with the result in this case, which further demonstrates what so many in our industry already know. The P320 cannot fire without the trigger being pulled and is the gold standard for safety, innovation, engineering, and quality among striker-fired pistols, said Samantha Piot, Senior Director of Communications, Sig Sauer Inc. As we continue to put to rest the malicious and misleading attacks against one of the most popular pistols ever made, we are committed to supporting the millions of law-abiding citizens, law enforcement agencies, and elite military units carrying our pistol every day around the world. The design of the Sig Sauer P320 is safe and innovative, with numerous related patents, including several relating to safety mechanisms. It is among the most tested, proven, and successful handguns in recent history, with versions being selected as the official sidearm of the US, Canadian, Australian, and Danish militaries, among many other military and law enforcement organizations worldwide. Sig Sauer is extremely proud of our long history of producing high-quality firearms and our unwavering dedication to safety. For more information and accurate facts about the P320, please visit p320truth.com. All right, so Sig, that's Sig. That's what Sig did. Now, Sig? If they don't like it, what? You can't say that. If they don't like the P320, you want them to do what? To 320 P? Sig, you can't tell people to go and suck. What kind of language is that? Sig don't mean it. They don't mean that you can go suck 320 Ps. That ain't what they mean. Calm down. Sig is upset. They're defending themselves, and I get it. You try to shut down my company, you try to cause me financial harm, I would probably be defensive too. But we have to have a balanced conversation about it. So here's what I think. I don't know. I think I'm somewhere in the middle, right? So as an individual that doesn't walk around and think every time I say something, because I am a firearms instructor, that what I say is absolute and correct at all times, especially when it comes to products. Here's what I will say though. I have enough experience and enough insight over decades to say how I feel, and sometimes I can give my professional opinion. So tell you where my insight comes from outside of shooting a lot of different guns, around the country from different manufacturers at different times. I've shot guns nobody's ever heard of, and I've shot guns everybody knows about. This is my P320 X5, okay? So the boys down at Tactical Life did the Cerakote work for me. My main Wayne Hammer Customs got that stippling job together. It does have a Springer Precision guide rod recoil system inside of it. I believe the company that did that work is Laser Blade. They actually did what they call the tag team. Get in there. Yeah, there you go. The tag team slide and port work on it. That is the original barrel that came inside the firearm. And I've had this gun for quite some time. Nothing from the FCU back has been touched. I have never adjusted the trigger. I have not messed with the FCU in any type of way. Trijicon SRO, Surefire X300 Turbo. I have about 6,000 rounds through this firearm. I've never had an issue outside of after I ported the barrel, I had to go ahead and, change the springs around and kind of play with that. I really, really enjoy this gun. Never did anything wrong to me. The other one I have, and this is a funny story, is the M17. Now here's the thing. I'm running around where everybody's talking about the P320 going off, and every time I see an example, it's the stock P320, right? And I'm telling you, I've had this M17 for a long time, and I didn't even think about it. Like, it just totally went over my head because I wasn't thinking about the gun. Like, I'm like, I don't even have a standard P320. And then I'm like, you know what? That's pretty stupid because I have an M17 downstairs in a safe that I've never shot. And this is the one. I have never shot this gun. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to shoot it probably ever. Why? Because I don't know. I hadn't got around to it. So I'm not going to act like it's a rush now. Am I scared to shoot the gun? Am I scared to shoot this gun? I will tell you, I'm no more frightened to shoot those guns than I am to shoot this gun, which is a Sig Sauer 1911 Tac Ops with the threaded barrel. Nice gun. Nice 1911. I am not fearful of shooting this gun. And if it wasn't packed up for travel tomorrow for my EDC, I will show you guys my X Macro with the Icarus grip module on it that I carry with the EPS and TLR 7, I believe is on that gun. I carried it for a long time. How do I feel about the drama? I don't know, man. We can't sit and say that nothing is wrong with these guns. That is dishonest. Something is wrong with some of the guns. The scary part is you don't know if you're going to get one of the guns something is wrong with. I can expect and respect Sig Sauer to defend themselves in any court of law, whether it be the legal system or whether it be public opinion. I totally respect. I don't have a personal problem with Sig Sauer. I don't have a professional problem with Sig Sauer, except for the fact that something's wrong with these guns and we got to get down to the bottom of it. And here's what's fair. There are a lot of people saying you shouldn't have an opinion about it. I have 6,000 opinions about it, and that's before we get into the money that I invested in it. So, yeah, I get the right to have an opinion about whatever the hell I own. It's mine. I invested my money into it. I can have an opinion. And I've shot 6,000 rounds to it, which is not, look, it's not a lot. 6,000 rounds is not a lot of rounds. I get to some people it may be, but for people that do this, you know, for a living, it's not. 6,000 rounds is not a lot. I got buddies I respect that love the 320 and all its variants that have tens of thousands of rounds out of their 320s, and they love them. And I respect their opinion, so I'm not going to say that their experience has not been legit. I believe they are being truthful to their experience. Like I believe many people are saying, I've never had a problem out of my P320. Matter of fact, you let me know in the comments what your experience has been with your P320, because these unintended discharges, unless my eyes are just really lying to me, like let's look at this.
Another incident in January. Watch as a plainclothes officer steps out of an unmarked car. Suddenly, he and the other officers appear to react to something. And while there's no audio, that reaction, one lawyer tells us, was to the officer's gun firing on its own. Look closely again as the officer's hands were full.
This is the first video where it's obvious, it's clear, you can see that it fired. The officer had both of his hands full. They were nowhere near the gun.
And then a lot of people have reported out of battery detonations, you know, so you've seen the side of the guns blown up. You've seen entire grip modules like cracked in half. Something is going on with the guns. Something. Do I think it's in all of them? No. It might be in a very, very small percentage of them, but something is happening. And if you haven't had the problem with the gun, you necessarily can't tell other people they shouldn't be nervous. Because what about the individuals, a couple of them that have won in court? And I get it. We can go through the legality of, hey, it's like paying people to tell them to go away, except for in one particular situation, they are appealing that case against a U.S. Army veteran that won over $11 million from last I heard. They are appealing that. Then a Georgia man won a little bit over $2 million. Now you might say, hey, that's just technicalities or whatever. However, something's going on. We're talking about, what is it, 100 cases, give or take? Let's watch it.
And it's being carried by thousands of police officers every single day.
Dozens of such incidents have occurred across the country.
Another Massachusetts police officer.
Tampa Police Reserve officer says his department-issued weapon fired without him pulling the trigger.
The Sig Sauer P320 is one of the country's most popular handguns. It is owned by hundreds of thousands of civilians and used by officers in at least 1,000 police departments. A version of the P320 is used by every branch of the U.S. military. An 8-month investigation by The Trace and The Washington Post has found that since 2016, more than 100 people alleged their P320 pistols discharged when they did not pull the trigger. At least 80 people were wounded in these incidents, including law enforcement officers.
Okay, even if half the people lying, everybody ain't lying. Like this video where he reaches over to grab the legs of the suspect. Let's look at this one. When I was talking about the original P320, I was like, oh, you know what else is cool? There is actually nothing wrong with the X5, because every time I looked at a case, the X5 was not mentioned until, once again, it takes some things just to slap you upside the head and go, dummy. Yeah, the X5 is affected. I wound up, being on the internet, and I believe the gentleman's name is Genghis Khan, if I'm saying it correctly. Now, let's watch a small portion of his video.
No, this is not clickbait. My Sig P320 actually did try to shoot me from the holster in the middle of a steel challenge competition. Now, before we get started, I want to make it clear the goal of this video is not to bash Sig, but to share my experiences with the P320, especially in light of the incidences that have happened with the Milwaukee Police Department and others. So to get started, I was shooting a steel challenge competition with my P320 X5. It was stage 5 of 6, and we were on string 4 of 5. For those of you that are not familiar with steel challenge and how it works, you have 5 steel targets in front of you, and you are to draw at the timer and engage all 5 targets, finishing on the stop plate. So I'd finished 4 of my 5 runs, and I had reloaded my fresh magazine to get started for string 5. I reholstered the gun, and between reholstering the gun and going to my start position of high ready, the firearm went off and shot around right near my leg into the ground. So needless to say, after the round went off, I was in shock. My leg was stinging. I honestly thought I had been shot at the moment, but luckily for me, I had my Benchmade knife sitting in my right pocket like I always do for my EDC. The bullet from the 320 actually skimmed off my knife, cut the scales off. Maybe I'll get a replacement someday, but shout out to Benchmade. Your knife was tough enough to stop a 9mm and prevented me from ending up with an extra hole in my body.
I'll leave his Instagram page in the comments, so if you want to go check out the full video, you can. But it is a very, very interesting video, and it had everything to do with the P320. And guess what? He didn't even have 6,000 rounds out of his. I believe he said 700 or 800 rounds that he had out of his firearm before he experienced it. And don't even get me started with the amount of rounds that cops don't shoot. So I don't know. What I would like to know is, are you going to continue to carry the P320? Are you going to carry yours? If your gun went off in a holster, would you go after Sig Sauer? Would you try to hold them accountable? Are you scared to carry your gun? Are you going to recommend other people to buy the P320? Here's how I feel. Am I going to be scared to carry the P320? This one. The answer is, well, I'm not concealed carrying this X5 anyway, but will I still take this gun out to the range for its intended purposes, train with it, etc.? The answer is yes. Why? Because I feel comfortable with my 320. There's only 6,000 rounds in. Hasn't let me down. I feel comfortable with this particular gun. I'm comfortable with it, so I'm going to continue mine. The M17, I haven't tried it out yet. I've never shot it. Had it for years, never shot it. I went over to Sig's site to check the serial numbers of my firearms, and I'm not going to show you guys my serial numbers because I'm not. But you can see I plugged them in into Sig's system, and they said, hey, your guns are great. You don't need to send them back in. You don't have to do the voluntary safety updates, things like that. Okay, cool. So the serial numbers, my guns are great. I'm not shooting the M17. And I don't even think it's because I feel like it's unsafe. I'm not gonna shoot it. I am gonna shoot this 320, and I'm gonna continue to shoot the 1911, just when I get around to it. It's kind of like the M17. I just have to get around to it. I'm going to run the hell out of my 365X macro, and I think I got 2 other Sig pistols. I'll shoot those just fine. So the M17, I'm probably just going, I don't know. It's really not because of the controversy, to be honest with you. I don't know. I'm just not interested in shooting it. I have it. I think I'm going to put it up and just have an unfired M17. I think that's the way I feel. The 320, I am going to run. Now, what about recommending the P320 to students that are looking to get into what I do or looking for a different gun? I'm not going to tell them to buy it or not to buy it, but I'm not going to talk about the gun and then not tell them, hey, you might want to go watch like this video or other videos just to see or become aware of what the conversation around the firearm is before you make your decision, right? And if they choose to go with it, great. If they choose not to, what am I supposed to say? So that's kind of how I'm approaching that situation. Do what you want. I'll give you information. I'll educate you on the conversation. Then as an adult, you get to go out and make your decision. But what I will say, if you have never shot the 320 platform, I'm not saying you don't have an opinion. I'm just saying you don't have that kind of direct experience to say, this has been my experience. If you own the gun, yeah, you better have a lot to say. You better have a loud opinion. So I will say everybody can have an opinion, whether you own it or not. Just understand that your viewpoint is going to change whether you own and have shot the gun or not. But talk to you blue in the face. But what I don't want people to tell me again is, hey, you shouldn't have an opinion because it hasn't happened to you. I got 6,000 rounds and monies invested into this. I can have an opinion.
Shut up, bitch!
My opinion is I'm going to shoot mine. If somebody else decides not to shoot theirs, great. I forgot what I paid for this, but I have it. I paid monies. I'm allowed to have an opinion. Now, I'm going to say I haven't shot it. I can't even tell you how I feel about the M17 in general because guess what? I haven't shot it. So I don't really have an opinion about it, right? I can give my overall feel of safety, but whatever. So that's how I feel about it, man. A lot of evidence out there in support of Sig Sauer, and there's some incidents out there that are not in support of Sig Sauer. So you tell me how you feel. You let me know below. What are your thoughts? What are you going to do? How are you going to move forward? And also let me know if you think Sig Sauer should have just remained quiet, or was it a good job for them to just out of nowhere jump out and start this conversation all over again? Let me know how you feel about the subject. And until next time, man, make sure you go over to, speaking of beautiful things, you see the red dot, you see the light, man. You need something for your pew pew. You head over to No Other Choice. We'll get you together. And, swag over there, too. Like Harriet would have smacked the sugar honey iced tea out of you. SBR, short but reliable. We got all the swag over there. Make sure you go check it out. Hope you guys have a good time, man. Hey, if you got your 320, you're going to rock out with your 320. Do your thing. I'm not that invested in the conversation, but I do find it interesting. Something's wrong, but not everything is wrong. We should still shoot the gun, but you need to be aware of what you're doing and what you might be putting yourself into. It might only be 1% or less than 1%. Who knows, man? That's what I'm going to do. Be interested to see what you guys are going to do. And until the next time, man, make sure you be prepared for when there is no other choice. Huh? See, I'm going to shoot. No reloads. Out of battery detonations ain't happening. Oh, it only happened with reloads. Okay, I don't know. I know this. Y'all better act right with me. I ain't done nothing to you. Don't you shoot me. I'm telling you, don't you shoot me.